Welcome in, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the holiday today if you celebrate. And today I wanted to answer one of the most frequently asked questions I get, which is about how do I know when a certain thing is going to happen? So there's a couple of ways you can tell, and one of them I'm going to present to you today. I have others that I can share with you in the coming weeks, especially if you are part of my astrology class. It's a beginner's class, so we're still kind of at the place where we're talking about how to look at your chart. And if you're interested in learning your astrology from the ground up, then jump into my astrology beginners class. It is ongoing. And we only started about a month ago ish, and you will have access to all those lessons. So if you don't know anything about astrology, but have always wanted to learn, there's a link below. In the meantime, this is a lesson about destined and fated events in your birth chart and how to understand and find out the timing of things and when they are going to happen in the future. So I hope you enjoy this. Please leave a comment and let me know. And if you have any other questions about timing, there are other methods, like I said, and I will share those with you in the class. So enjoy it. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope everybody's doing well today. I didn't really announce this previous to me doing this lesson, but I feel like it's a good one, and we're going to talk about the vertex. Okay. Really, wow, interesting, Julia. Happening. Yep, big letting go. This year, 2024, you should go back and take a look at some of the astrologers you like on YouTube and look at their 2024 forecast, because I was seriously like, it's an 8-year. That seems really powerful to me. I have a lot of 8 in my chart. I have a lot of 8th house stuff. I've got a lot. So 8th house is also about transformation and endings. And there's a lot of endings happening this year. Go look at those. I went back and looked. I forget who I was looking at, but I went back and looked because I was like, what the hell is going on? Why is there so much like this doom and gloom? And, doom, I don't want to say doom. That's the wrong word to use. It's just transformation, right? It's just transformation. So I went back and looked and I was like, wow, I was a little mad at some of the astrologers this year for being so kind of over the top. But it does seem to me, and in some of the readings, this is happening too, that there is a clear direction for things once the stuff is let go. And I love that we're having this full moon in Aquarius happening next week on the 19th. So Monday, the full moon in Aquarius is kind of like, hey, this is not my vision for the future. So anything is not my vision for the future is gone, is gone, right? Like, get it away from me. And Aquarius is very kind of unsympathetic or no, not unsympathetic. That's not true. Very cool, right? Not really nostalgic. So anyway, so today we're going to talk about something called the vertex. Yeah, aloof for sure. The vertex, it is indicated in your chart with a big VX. And give Colleen a link to astro.com. You can get a chart in astro.com that will show the vertex. Thanks, Colleen. That will show the vertex, the VX. And my Astro Gold software does it. But a lot of them, like Astro Dash charts that we really like, that website doesn't show vertex. There's no little setting that you can turn on, right? So it's a VX. So that's the calculator. And what you're looking for, you're just looking for the same thing you would look for with any planet or anything. This is a mathematical point. It's a calculation. You don't need to know how that works because it's a little bit confusing. I don't want to really confuse you about this. So the vertex is a method of timing turning points in your life. So it's kind of interesting that I just spent a little time talking about this year, and also the full moon in Aquarius, which is happening on Monday. Aquarius is the vision for the future. And we are talking about also the moving into the age of Aquarius. And so Aquarius is kind of is very visionary. It's kind of like big picture thinking, right? And the vertex is going to show you in your chart. So mine is at 8 degrees of Gemini. It sits in my 8th house. And wherever it is in your chart, the vertex is how you relate to other people. They have to these very big turning points in your life have to do with other people. So your vertex, nope, Vesta is not the same as vertex. Vesta is an asteroid. Vertex is a mathematical point. And the vertex will hit in the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th houses. Sometimes the 9th, rarely the 4th, but it's because those houses, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th house, it's because of the calculation of where it hits on this elliptical with us going around the sun, where this mathematical point hits. It's kind of like, it's been called the secondary descendant, right? You know, the ascendant, right? The rising sign. There's also a descendant, which is other people, right? It's the people you attract in your life, or the people you attract who are either teachers or purveyors of these lessons that you're needing to learn from other people. The vertex is about turning points that happen either because of other people, or they're in relationship to other people, or other people bring these lessons to you, or something like that. There's also something known as the anti-vertex, which is essentially you. It's the lessons you bring to yourself. It's the turning points in your life that are like within you, that don't have anything really to do with other people. And those show up in like the houses 11 through 2, right? It's like on that side of your chart. The vertex is about other people. And it can, this is something that in your birth chart doesn't do anything just sitting in your 8th house in Gemini. It needs to be activated. So when we're looking at the vertex, we're looking at what is transiting across that place that you have your vertex. And so in your natal chart, in your birth chart, you're looking for really a conjunction. Not really looking for the other stuff. I mean, you can look at squares and oppositions and all that, but the opposition is the anti-vertex, which is you. So really just pay attention to conjunctions and keep a tight orb on this. So you're not things that are more than 3 degrees away. I'm going to go even tighter than that, but 3 degrees, I think, is the accepted orb around your vertex. So I'll just give you an example of my own, that my vertex is at 8 degrees of Gemini. So we just had Mars and Jupiter transit through those degrees, right? You're not really looking at, the sun, moon, or Mercury. They move too fast, because that would mean that you would have a turning point in your life, like the moon. The moon hits it a lot, right? It keeps hitting it, keeps hitting it, keeps hitting it. So the moon is not really that. The moon or the sun or Mercury. Okay, you're not really looking at those planets in conjunction with your vertex. It happens too fast and too often. So those can be like little aha moments, or little, ooh, that's interesting, or little feelings, but they're not big turning points. Turning points are more about big shifts in life's journey, and as it's related to other people. So you're really looking at Venus transiting that placement. So Venus goes all the way around the sun in 225 days. So you would have a Venus transit your vertex almost every year. You're not going to have a turning point in your love life every year, okay? But if there's other stuff going on in your chart and Venus happens to be transiting across your vertex, then whatever's going on in the rest of your chart could get elevated. And when things transit the vertex, it feels fated. It feels destined. And in many ways it is. It's like things that are brought to you by other people outside of your doing, right? Because it's the transits are what's moving around. And then if it's other people, it's sort of like a lot of it is kind of outside of your control. So Venus moves pretty fast. It moves every, goes all the way around every 225 days. So less than a year. Mars, now we're starting to get somewhere. When Mars transits your vertex, Mars will only hit it every 687 days. So that is, almost 2 years, right? Almost 2 years. And we just had Mars hit mine just recently, and Jupiter also. Jupiter, it takes 12 years to go all the way around. So Jupiter for sure is a very powerful energy when it hits your vertex. If you have a couple of planets, if there's like a Jupiter, Mars is in conjunction right now, right? As we're right on the 15th, and here we are, 14th, 15th, it is conjunct at 14 degrees or 16 degrees of Gemini. So if you have your vertex at 16 or 14 degrees Gemini, wherever that is, that's sitting right on your vertex. That's a big deal. Okay. That is a big deal because it doesn't happen often. So Jupiter takes 12 years to go all the way around. Saturn takes 29 and a half years to go all the way around. Man, when Saturn sits on your vertex, you've been sat on, right? You've been sat on because Saturn is about lessons, big lessons, quantum lessons in our life. I would, if I were you, commit your vertex degree to memory. Because when you're looking at transits, when you're looking at, what's going to be happening for me this year, if I'm doing someone's chart, I'm always looking at that vertex of like, are you having some big things happen this year? And what is transiting across that vertex? You also could look at North Node and South Node because they take 18 years to go all the way around. And North Node is about mission and purpose, right? So when the North Node is transiting and it hits your vertex, there can be, so it's not your North Node, it's the North Node. But when it hits that vertex, there can be moments, flashes of what your mission and purpose is, okay, brought to you by another person. Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, you know that these have big, massive transits. Pluto, 248 years, Uranus, 84 years, Neptune, 165 years. So if Pluto, Uranus, or Neptune hits your vertex, that is massive. It is super big deal important, like generationally important. It will never happen again in your lifetime. And the only way it could is if it backed up again. So if you have, let's just an example here. If you have your vertex at 29 degrees Capricorn, that means Pluto has been backing up over it a couple of times, and that is massively transformational. Okay. If you have Uranus, Uranus is about to go into Gemini. It's going to go into Gemini, I believe, next July. And like I just told you, my vertex is in Gemini in that 8th house. So I feel like because it's 8 degrees, it's gonna, it takes a long time. So that's maybe a 10 or 15 year in the future kind of thing when it hits 8 degrees. Is that right? No, it's less than that. It's maybe like 8 years. It's going to hit my vertex. So I'm going to circle that date in red whenever it hits my vertex. And then it's going to sit there for a while. Okay. It's going to sit there for a while because it moves so damn slow. So if you have any of those, I'm going to say to you, Jupiter, Saturn, North Node, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune transiting, hitting your vertex. This is a massive turning point in your life. And so what does it mean? How do we interpret it? And I want to give you, this is a way for you to interpret anything. And I should have done this a long time ago. I think we talk about this as if like everybody knows this, but this is, we're learning here. So this may be something that turns on a light bulb for somebody. When you interpret the placement, any placement, right? Saturn in Pisces, anything that's going on, what you're going to do is you're going to take the planet, let's say this is in your natal chart. Okay, I have my vertex, which is, you write down your vertex, it's like this degree. What is vertex? The key word for vertex is fated events. Okay, so I write down underneath the vertex, I write fated events. In my 8th house, what are the key words around the 8th house? Transformation, intimacy, money, other people's money, taxes. What are the key words? So fated events in those areas of my life. It has to do with intimacy, right? 8th house is a lot about, I feel like 8th house is much more about the relationship between two people than even the 7th or the 5th houses. The 7th house is, this is what the world sees. You know, it's a marriage, there's a legal thing, it's a legal document, which is Libra rules 7th house naturally. So there's some kind of legal document. 8th house, we're not standing on ceremony here. There's no, it's also behind the scenes. It may not be seen by other people, okay? Might be secret, okay? So that's 8th house. Intimacy, things that go on behind closed doors. In Gemini, communication, talking, Gemini is about organization. It's also planning. All right. It's planning behind closed doors. So there can be another like, let's say, so Uranus comes in to my 8th house and sits right on that vertex for a while. There's been something in the works for a long time, some planning on another person's part that has been in the works for a long time that's going to be happening behind closed doors. No, or between me and another person. So I pay attention to those dates. I may or may not know what that is because it's Uranus, right? Surprise. I may or may not know what that is. So that's how you interpret any kind of thing, right? Any kind of, you know, North Node is my mission and purpose. Okay, it's in the 4th house. The 4th house of mother, nurturing, my connection to spirit, my connection to ancestors, my ability to have some kind of psychic, you know, mother's intuition or something like that. It's about home. It's about all these things. So that's the area of life that's being impacted. And it's in Aquarius, which is about big picture planning. Okay, so whenever you're doing that, it's kind of like Mad Libs. I don't know if any of you have played Mad Libs, but that's kind of what it is. It's like you're filling in the blanks and just do it one piece at a time. Okay, so let's say there's a lot of complicated stuff going on. Right now we have Saturn retrograde in Pisces. We have across the hall, we have Venus in Virgo. So those are 2 houses that are in an opposition together, and they're squaring Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. That's a lot to take in, right? Like you guys have said that to me, like, how do I even interpret this in my chart? One at a time. One at a time. All right, Saturn retrograding. What are the key words of Saturn retrograde or Saturn retrograde? Saturn's about lessons. Retrogrades are about internal lessons, or about maybe the teacher's absent. I have to teach myself. Maybe this is an abandonment thing. Maybe just start riffing on these things, okay? In Pisces, Pisces is about my spiritual connection, mystical connections. All right, so that's happening in my 5th house. All right, what's the 5th house? And then I'm looking in opposition to this other thing. You see how you just do one piece at a time, and then you can kind of see an overall pattern appearing. You're like, oh, holy shit. So Venus over here in Virgo, Venus in Virgo is very picky energy. Venus in Virgo is, you know, because Virgo is like, how do we make this practical? And Venus is like love and beauty and, you know, all these things that don't have a lot of defined boundaries. But Virgo's like, I want some guarantee about this love. I want guarantees. None of this bullshit of like things are too nebulous. So it's in opposition to Saturn and Saturn in Pisces. There's a lot of like wanting guarantees versus being able to go toward a soul lesson. Okay. And it's squaring Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. So there's going to be a conversation here, my friend, that is going to be very forceful, very forceful. And Jupiter can be about money. It can be about, Jupiter is about, it's not about the kind of luck that the fairy godmother kind of bops you on the head. It's like, you've got to activate that. You've got to make your own luck here because it's squaring. You got to make your own luck. And you do it with your voice, and Jupiter's debilitated in Gemini. So there's this sense of like, I don't feel like I have the words to say, but I got to say it. So it might be a little ham-handed, right? Mars just being like, ugh, right? Mars just doing it. And that can screw with the practicality of things versus the spirituality of things. So this is how you work with things yourself. So I'm going to take you through. So vertex can be in 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th house. That's where the vertex falls. And I'll take you through those. And then I'll take you through one at a time with the signs. Okay. So you can start synthesizing this information for yourself. So a vertex falling in the 5th house, this is the area of life related to fun and passion and romance and art and joy and things like that. So 5th house, if a vertex falls in the 5th house, that is that the theme? That's kind of the theme. This is the part of your life that's being impacted. Your ability to have fun, express yourself creatively, music, joy, sex, intimacy in a very kind of Leo kind of way, lighthearted, not like 8th house, which is much deeper. Okay. 5th house is kind of like, yay, that was fun. And so if you have a vertex in that house, that's the part of your life that's being impacted. The 6th house, the part of your life being impacted is your daily routines, your work life, your coworkers, okay? Coworkers connected to your work. So every time something hits it, turning points in your life are going to be started in the workplace for you, or as related to coworkers, or your daily routines, your health, things like that are going to be impacted. So this lifetime, the vertex has focused on that part of your life. And there's going to be big turning points in your life. They're going to feel fated and destined. It's going to feel like that. Okay. It's going to feel like that. And it's going to be activated either by a transit or by someone else's synastry chart could activate this vertex. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a second, but I want to go through these one by one. If it's in the 7th house, obviously this is about marriage and one-to-one relationships. It can be about business partners. It can be about legal things, right? So 7th house is about contracts. So keep that in mind. All right. 7th house is about contracts. Marriage is a contract. Business partnerships are contracts. The 8th house is about committed, enmeshed, or purely sexual relationships that have a deep level of intimacy with them. And it's expressed through sex or through secrets. 8th house is very secretive. Okay. So if you have your vertex in any one of those 4 houses, sometimes the 9th house is about my philosophy and how I believe, what I believe in life. So you could see a vertex very early in a 9th house sometimes, or very late in a 4th house, which I already discussed about mother energy. So those are the houses. And then I'm going to take you through in each of the signs. These are the themes. So you know that like every 2 years, Mars is going to ping your vertex. It doesn't look the same usually. Okay, it doesn't look the same. It can come from different people, right? It can come from different experiences, but the themes the vertex in Aries, the themes are around bold action. So every 2 years, like if you have your vertex in Aries and, one of the planets pings it every once in a while, the Aries energy is going to be expressed. You may express through bold action, taking the lead, originality. This is the energetic expression of the vertex in your life. If your vertex is in Taurus, it's going to show up for you when anything pings your vertex, activates it. It's going to show up in the area of beauty and comfort. So you may, if like, let's just go back to Mars for a second. Every 2 years, Mars runs across your vertex. And let's say it's in your fourth house. It's the very end of your fourth house. You may do a renovation every couple of years, right? And it may be like, you may have a friend that is a designer that comes across your life 1 year. 2 years from now, you could want to sell this house and you have a realtor that's kind of like pinging it, or a love partner that's pinging it to move, right? To move to them or something like that. Okay. So that's Taurus. If you have a vertex in Gemini, this is about being like-minded. So you may have this experience and I'm just going to give you my own personal experience of this because I have been on this planet for 58 years. So I have had a lot of stuff run across my vertex in that eighth house. I do not really go deeply with a person unless we see eye to eye in terms of, I like how their brain works. I always think their brain is sexy. I always think I like how they think. That to me is a love language. It floats down because mine's in the eighth house. So it is about, I'm only intimate with people. Like I friggin' hate small talk. Oh my God. Small talk drives me insane. I want to be I'm only going to keep people in my life that have wicked senses of humor, that are very clever, that are interested, curious, that have maybe a different way of looking at things. And we might not be of the same mind, but I like how they think. I can see the work, like show your work. Like I can see their brain working. That to me is incredibly attractive. And those are the kind of people that stick around in my life long term. There are people who have come into my life, fated in a destined way, and they don't go anywhere because because those people are hard to find. Those people are hard to find, to have somebody who has a sense of humor. And I will even say that what I've noticed too is that one of my cousins, I remember this very distinctly, he had a fantastic sense of humor, and I would always look forward to seeing him. And then in his 30s, something happened to him where he became very dark and not funny anymore. Because I'm a lot of light, air, and fire too. I'm not all scorpionic, right? He went down some kind of rabbit hole, that like mental illness or something like that, and it screwed with how he thought about things. And we just fell out. Like I didn't cut him off or anything. We just fell out because there wasn't that feeling. So that's what Gemini is about: communication, mental or telepathic connections. I have a lot of telepathic connections in my life. Colleen and I all the time. She texts me. I just thinking about her. She texts me. I have that it's very common in my life to have people in my life who reach out to me right when I think they're going to. Okay. Or even wake me up in the middle of the night with something they're thinking so loud. I'm like, gosh, shut up. I'm trying to sleep. If you have vertex in Cancer, this is a heart-centered belonging. So laying down roots, being a little bit entwined and could be enmeshed a little bit. Cancer has a little enmeshment flav there. So but there's just this sense of like, we belong together, beautiful heart energy. This is like mother and child. It's also love energy around two people. This person can really activate that in you. this doesn't always have to be about a love relationship. I was just getting this in my mind's eye. I was just getting this image of like a nurse, someone who has a vertex in Cancer, and it's in their like sixth house. It's like their work. So they have to have this love connection with their work. You know what I mean? And there has to be this real feeling of camaraderie, and we're in it together, and we have not a sense of mission, because that's visionary. That's more like Aquarius. But Cancer, it's like, it's a heart-centered thing. Okay, so that's if you have a vertex in Cancer. Vertex in Leo is play, fun, creative expression, relationships based on deep appreciation, and like, damn, they are awesome, right? Like there's like this feeling of, you're hot, no, you're hot, no, I'm not hot, you're hot. Like there's just this sense of like, you really are deeply appreciative of this person, whatever they do. Maybe they're creative, maybe they're very musical, and you're like, damn, so good. So there's that's Leo. In Virgo, relationships that help us find our rhythm, that feel good to us, because they're kind of the same, right? As like, this is kind of an alignment where it doesn't have to be everything. Okay, it doesn't have to be everything, but there can be a sense of, I feel healthier with you. I feel like on my game with you. I feel like my days are productive. I feel like it feels good to me. There's a Virgo sense there that, you know, we really work well together. Okay. Libra is about collaboration and negotiation, different than Virgo. Virgo can be collaboration, but it's not there's no negotiating here. It's either you're with me and we're walking along the same road, or you're out. Like you're a slob and I'm a neat freak. Can't. No. If you have vertex in Virgo, and that's in the seventh house, like they have to be just like you, almost like a mirror image. Same as Gemini, but it's the mind. In Virgo, it's the physicality. There has to be some kind of appropriate sense that you do things the same way I do them. Okay, so that's Virgo, vertex in Virgo. They honor methods, systems. We're really honoring that in each other. If you're somebody who needs meditation every morning and you do that, this person will never interrupt you. Okay, if they're actively connected to your vertex in Virgo, they want you to do something that's healthy for you. So they're not gonna, you've all had the experience of, okay, I made one boundary. You had one job, like I only have this 30 minutes and this is what it's for. And the other person keeps crashing into it. No. In Libra, this is about negotiation though. Okay. And Libra can be much more flexible than Virgo. Libra can be like, there's appreciation there, a little bit of follow on from Leo. There is also an appreciation for someone who does things that is more mirrored, less exact. It's not exactly the way I do it, but this works. Maybe this is more like, I'm a slob, you're a neat freak, but we negotiate how that works. So you have your one room where you can be as messy as you want, but the rest of this house is public domain, and that is no bueno. Okay. So there's something like that. And both people get it. Both people are cool with it. And it doesn't cause any ruckus. Can you describe the ruckus? It doesn't cause any upheaval, because Libra is about peace. It's about creating peace. Okay. If your vertex is in Scorpio, this is deep intimacy. This is intense shared experiences, intensely about loyalty. So vertex in Scorpio, whenever a planet will ping that, will activate that, that's the thing that is the problem, or is the, oh my God, where have you been all my life kind of feeling. And look at I'll get to that in a minute, but you should look at the planet that's pinging it. That will give you additional information. But if you have vertex in Scorpio, anything that activates that, it's going to activate your need for deep intimacy. You may not always feel like that. You may be like, this was fine. I feel like this is true because when I got married, it was like, it took a long time for a planet to hit my vertex in that eighth house. And when it did, it was like deep into the relationship. And I kind of realized we were not on the same page about a lot of things. That's when it was like aha moment. That's what vertex is kind of like. When a planet hits it, it was like, we're not, it was, I think it was Saturn, I can't remember, but it was like, oh, holy shit, we don't speak the same language. And I never noticed this until that happened. So Venus or vertex in Scorpio is about depth, intense shared experiences, loyalty or disloyalty. Okay. Vertex in Sagittarius, themes of adventure. Okay. Gaining a full perspective. Sagittarius is big picture, targeting joy, wanting to have joy. You know, tired of the deepness of Scorpio. I want to have joy. Pursuing things of joy. Together, we pursue things of joy. We pursue things of adventure. We experience the miraculous together. That's Sagittarius, vertex in Sagittarius, vertex in Capricorn. It's about duty and building lasting value, being grown up. So if let's say you have Mars transiting across your vertex in Capricorn, and you're in a job that is too junior for you, or you feel that you're in a relationship that's kind of like a high school kind of experience, your vertex gets pinged by Mars, you're out of there. You're out of there. This is not grown up. This is not real. This is not it's not setting me up for the future. Very practical, right? Very practical energy. Vertex in Aquarius is about a shared vision, becoming more of oneself, becoming more individual, having individuation, which is about being able to be in relationship without becoming that other person, without being enmeshed. This is a person that comes across your path that activates that vertex that says, I can be in relationship with you, and we are not a two-headed monster. We are two individual people who cohabitate or who coexist or co-create or whatever, but you're definitely you and I'm definitely me, and I am not enmeshing myself in your problems or situations. You're not doing that in mine, but we have a shared vision. How we do it might be different. That will terrify someone who has a lot of Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus, but the Aquarius energy is about breaking those boundaries. So if you have vertex and Aquarius, you could see the other person as like, holy shit, that was really smart. The way they do it. And I can learn. I'm teachable, coachable. Vertex in Pisces is about mystical healing and spiritual relationships, spiritual connections. And so you can have that vertex in, let's say you have that vertex in Pisces in the 8th house. You have Aries in the 7th house. So the Aries energy in the 7th house is much more, like I want someone who's a leader, who's going to be dynamic, right? Because it's in that 7th house. The descendant is people you attract. So you want that Aries leadership. But then that vertex in the 8th house, something goes across it. And it's like, we got to go deep. We got to go deep. This has got to be a mystical thing. So you could marry somebody or be in relationship with somebody for a while. Like I said, that happened to me, that I was like, oh, wow, they did not check this very important box. And I didn't know it until a planet activated that vertex. And I was like, wow. It's almost like you want to go to the next level and there's no more gears. There's no more gears. And that feels terrible to Pisces, Scorpio, 8th house. That just feels terrible. There needs to be, if we're going to go deep with each other, then we're in this basement. There's got to be like a root cellar and a wine cellar and there's got to be a lot more to this person than what you see is what you get. Okay. So that's through the signs. And so what you're looking for This vertex needs to be activated. If you have any questions, oh, good. There's some questions in there. I'll get to them in a second here. It needs to be activated. You're looking at a conjunction, not really the other stuff. Okay. How you would use this as an astrologer is when you're looking at someone's chart, you're going to look at the transits, see if anything is activating it. Like if you do a reading for somebody for the next year, let's say you're doing a yearly annual reading for somebody, what planets are transiting? Okay. What planets are transiting? You can look at their progressed chart. Okay. And see, I haven't actually looked at my progress chart. This is something that is an elliptical and is a point. So I'm gonna have to go deeper into the progression chart. I'm not really sure about that. So I'm gonna look at that for you. I'll get back to you on progressions. But if you're looking at a synastry or a composite chart, you're looking at how two people's vertexes may mesh or may not mesh. And a composite chart is the chart of the relationship. So you should compare that to a natal chart. You can also compare it to a progressed chart because I feel like the vertex at birth, the natal one, is the one to look at. It's because it is about, this is the person you are, and this is the person you are, progressions, the person you are becoming. So take a look at that chart. Take a look at a composite chart of a relationship and compare it to your natal chart, your progress chart, whatever, and just see. All right. If you found this topic helpful and insightful, let me know. Drop a comment below. Any other topics you're interested in hearing about as it relates to astrology? When will I find my spouse? How will I know about money or wealth coming my way? Drop a comment below. I want to hear about what topics you want to hear about and learn about. And if you are so inclined, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends. See you tomorrow.